Hello? It's Christy Gray, your newest hype girl and astrologer. Welcome to the Cosmic Hotline.
Who doesn't love a little full moon magic? Or maybe you want to know more about what really is my higher self. In this week's episode, we explore our annual Capricorn full moon, plus the transits you need to know about, and might even throw one or two rituals in the mix. We also have this week's listener question, which is answered with no strings attached.
What is my higher self and how do I connect to my higher self? I struggle to define it.
There's 8 phases of a moon cycle over a 29.5-day period. Think of the new moon as marking a new beginning, whereas a full moon marks the halfway point of the cycle. In astrology, the moon appears full when it's in opposition to the sun. So the constellation it resides in will always be opposite to the zodiac season that we're currently in. For example, right now, the sun is in Cancer and the opposing sign on the zodiac wheel is Capricorn, which means our full moon will reside in the sign. Zodiac signs aside, this duality of energy is really between a yin and yang, masculine and feminine, and it's your opportunity to reflect and celebrate at this point in the cycle. I love talking about moon cycles, but nothing beats diving deeper using the lens of astrology. And this particular cycle falls in, as I mentioned before, the Capricorn Cancer axis. Now, for my Cancer babes out there, or for anyone that has a lot of Cancer energy in their natal chart, Cancer is a cardinal water sign. So think imagination and instinct, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. And the moon is the divine feminine of the zodiac, whereas Capricorn is cardinal earth. It's precise and diligent and ruled by Saturn. My Capricorn babes out there, you know what I'm talking about. This sign is the taskmaster of the zodiac. So when these signs combine, you can think of lineage versus legacy. And how do you intertwine both? If you tuned into episode 2, damn, that's a hot angle. You'll have a clearer idea of the angles or axis in astrology. The reason I bring this up now is that Cancer is associated with the 4th house, and the line of the IC is on the cusp of that house, depending on the house system that you use. And Capricorn is associated with the 10th house, which is on the cusp of the MC, which is related to career. So Cancer's association with home and family could be an interpretation of how you nurture yourself and your ties to both family and ancestry, whereas Capricorn is associated with public image and career. It's not only about how you'll achieve success, but also how you'll leave your mark on the world. What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? When these two combine, this is your perfect opportunity to reflect and reassess on how can you make your dreams a reality. How are you nurturing your inner world? Because when you nurture your inner world, it impacts your external world. How can you use your time to create moments? There really is a theme for this particular full moon, and with these two zodiac signs combined, which is I nurture versus I achieve. Sometimes with both of these energies combined, it's hard to be able to do both at the same time. Just think, it's masculine versus feminine energy. But in order to welcome in both or be open to receive both, it's all about prioritization. Which one are you going to prioritize first to get the best result in the other one? If you're anything like me, I'm a girl that needs to nurture first before I achieve. That involves having a clear morning routine, so I feel like I'm winning as soon as my day's begun. Plus, I'm an avid wellness lover, and so my morning needs to start with my health and well-being routine, because then I feel like I've set myself up for success before the day begins. That way I can go out and conquer the day, gaze into the stars, and spread my love for astrology and feel like I'm moving the needle forward in my own life. My question for you is, how are you currently prioritizing your day? And is there anything that needs to change in order to invoke both of these energies into your life? So that not only are you giving back to yourself, but you're also giving back to the things that you love, whether you're a parent or somebody that's career driven, or you're wanting to achieve success in any area of your life. Okay. So, a full moon cycle goes beyond the axis and the signs they reside in. We also need to unpack the transits, and this is everything that you need to know. This week, the Sun and Mercury are transiting the cosmos together. They're both in the dreamy sign of Cancer, and this is the perfect opportunity to ignite your imagination and generate ideas. When the moon's at its fullest point, Pluto, the planet of transformation, ruler of Scorpio, it's going to hang out with the moon, and it opposes both the sun and Mercury. Whenever this planet is thrown in the mix, think power dynamics will be at play. Make sure that you have some epic boundaries in place to protect your energy. It's also important to note, because a full moon means emotions are supercharged, and with Pluto thrown in the mix, that means that energy is intensified. If your boo or BFF is struggling to see your point of view or perspective, or maybe those roles are reversed and you're struggling to see theirs, take a breath, know that this time will pass and it's always a new day tomorrow. Here's a pro tip. If you've got any pent up energy and you're feeling like things are amplified, make sure that you have an outlet for the energy to go somewhere. That could involve exercising, picking up a pencil or a pen and doing some form of drawing or creative expression, just somewhere where you can channel that energy rather than endlessly scrolling, because I'm absolutely certain you'll feel better for doing so. The good news is that the Sun and Mercury are both in sextile to Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius and rules rebellion, revolution, and doing things differently. This combination is sure to put an extra sparkle in your week. And when I say sparkle, experimentation. This is your astrological invitation to channel some form of experimentation in an area of your life that needs it, whether it's your relationships, career, or you might need to join the self love club. I worked out a long time ago that telling people specifically what to do is not self empowerment, and it takes radical responsibility from ourselves to actually impact change in our lives. But we could all use a little inspiration in our lives. I'm constantly seeking ways to tap into the astrological energy and understand how I can use this to my advantage. So rather than tell you, you must do this because you are this sign, when the reality is every single zodiac sign is within you, instead, I'm going to drop the celestial breadcrumbs and give you some ideas to use this energy to your advantage. Lean into ritual work centered around healing, specifically your inner child. Why not flex your intellectual muscle? Well, actually, that's the wrong side of your brain. I'm talking about the right side of your brain. The right side of your brain is more visual and intuitive. It's open to creative thinking over logical. Some practices could include writing, reading, drawing, anything that ignites imagination and expression. If there was ever one practice that you could lose yourself in as a kid, try that. There's nothing better than when I receive a listener question for the Cosmic Hotline. The choice is yours, baby. You can submit your question, no strings attached, or request to be featured on the podcast to have your question answered live. You can send your question via the show notes below or text 04317 Venus for the chance to be featured. Here's this week's question.
What is my higher self and how do I connect to my higher self? I struggle to define it.
I love this question because it's one of these spiritual terms that we use and gets thrown around a lot in the personal development industry. But what does it really mean? Especially when the tagline for my business is astrology for your higher self. Come on. This is my opportunity to define it for you through an astrological lens. Your higher self is soul consciousness. It's your true nature. Think of it even as your spiritual guide, intuition. It's the internal part of yourself, and it's the part of yourself that you look towards for answers. Sometimes I find that it's really hard though, especially on your self-development journey, as our ego likes to step in and we rationalize with head versus heart. But before I go on another tangent, let's dive into higher self and then I'll go there when it comes to intuition. So the terms lower self and higher self come from Hindu faith. Lower self speaks to instinct and survival, what you need to do on a day-to-day basis to achieve. And even if you think of the concept from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is you could think of your lower self as trying to meet your physiological needs, the things that were going to help you to give you a firm foundation in life. Whereas your higher self speaks to evolution and wholeness. But in a world that focuses on the material and striving to achieve, and that success is defined by how many likes we receive on social media, if we're wearing the latest designer gear, and don't even get me started on the Kardashians, it makes it hard to eliminate those distractions and actually focus on what's important to us. So connecting with our higher self or our inner voice or spiritual guide needs space and space to create that connection, which doesn't always come naturally because you have to make it an intentional practice to do. And I'm not talking lying on a silk cushion in a robe with rose petals at your feet, meditating for 5 hours a day. No, you can connect with your higher self through your imagination, meditation, and dreams. Some of those rituals I was talking about before, like getting lost in something that you loved as a child, that's a way that you can go inwards and connect with your higher self. The question is, are you listening to what him or her is trying to say? You must create space to tune in and listen. The goal here is how can you trust yourself more? Back yourself always 100% and be confident in the decisions you make in the direction that you want to go. That, baby, is how I define tapping into higher self energy. Depending on your natal chart and its dominant elements, may give you an indication of how you can better do this. If you have a lot of earth in your natal chart, you may find getting outside in nature, putting bare feet to earth, or making something will help you to create that space and tune in. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. If you have a lot of water in your natal chart, I would recommend definitely getting in or around water. Water can be a great catalyst for ideas and thoughts. Plus, our water babes or people that have a lot of water energy in their natal chart, you're all about feelings. So a ritual or practice that helps you to not only identify your feelings, but work through them and process them will help you to realize what's the best step for you when moving forward. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. For the fire signs or people that have a lot of fire in their natal chart, this is me, baby. I find that we are so full of energy. That energy needs to go somewhere. Whether you flex your physical muscle or your intellectual muscle, it's important you do something with that energy. Attend a Pilates class or formulate a game plan to connect with the wisdom of yourself. The fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. For our air signs or people that have a lot of air in their natal chart, you are hella cerebral, meaning you're the intellectuals of the zodiac. You always have a ton of different ideas and you probably always have 1 or 2 conversations happening in your head at once. Because there's so much movement on a cerebral level, it's really important to create that space to connect. Those ideas and thoughts need to go somewhere. Grounding practices and getting out in nature is a great way to ground that energy from head to feet, but also making sure that the outlet for ideas includes journaling, a mind map, or even having a whiteboard in your office or nearby so that you can brain dump any ideas that come to mind. The air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And if you have a combination of all the elements in your natal chart and not necessarily dominant ones, is take what you need from the signs that I've mentioned and find a ritual or practice that works for you. That could involve tarot, astrology, meditation, spending time in nature, whether it's at the beach, hiking, or even reading in the sun. Think of how you can create moments where in solitude you conjure your greatest ideas and they come to you almost out of nowhere, or you finally get that hunch of the next step you need to take. When you have those moments, know that you're connecting with your higher self, which you can only do in the absence of busyness and in the presence of peace. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and you feel well equipped to navigate this week's energy, but also the magic of the full moon in Capricorn. Send me a message at hello@christygray.com as I'd love to hear from you. What's been your favorite thing so far about the Cosmic Hotline? Because I'd love to know. Do you have any ideas for a future episode? Or is there something in astrology you've always been curious about? I'll be back next week with our first Cosmic Deep Dive. And the question is, can astrology reveal your destiny?